The family of Vyleen White are calling for extra support for victims of violent crime in Queensland after a 17-year-old pleaded guilty to murdering their beloved grandmother back in February 2024. Her death sparked community outrage and prompted the then Labor state government to change bail laws for youth offenders, as well as the push for newly passed adult crime, adult time laws. However, the new laws won't apply in this case, meaning the teenager faces a maximum of 10 years unless the court finds the offence particularly heinous. Joining me now is Vyleen White's daughter, Cindy McAuliffe, live in Ipswich. Thanks for joining us again, and good to talk to you. Particularly heinous, I can't think of another one when a grandmother takes her granddaughter to a shopping centre and doesn't come home.
Exactly, but unfortunately this is open interpretation to the judge. So let's just hope he finds this situation particularly heinous, because I know the rest of Queensland does. Our family certainly do, and it's just depends on how he is on the day. So all pressure's on the judge, really.
I'm just going to let you know too, Cindy, that we've got the Premier coming up straight after this, so he's probably listening to you as well. You've campaigned very successfully to this point, and I know that you have spoken personally to David Crisafulli over the last 12 months or so. You say more can be done, though, around the mental health support system.
Oh, exactly. I mean, for our family, it's been quite a tumultuous ride, as you can imagine. You know, we've all struggled in certain ways, but like my middle sister, for instance, she has many times attempted to take her own life. There was one instance about 10 weeks ago where she nearly successfully did. She was in ICU for 6 days, was just put onto the ward and discharged a couple of days later with supposedly a mental health review. But there was no community follow-up, you know what I mean? And it's just, these are the sort of desperate gaps we have in the system. And if we're just one family, how many other families are going through this exact same thing? It's, you know, mental health is like a huge connection, like mental health and well-being with your physical health. And, you know, you connect those two, there's a synergy there, and if one's not working, the other one's not going to work either. And unfortunately, it's a really broken system, and unfortunately, there's no easy fix, as we know, but there's got to be a follow-up of the whole package, not just one area. You know, oh, are you okay? Yep, you look good to me, see you later. It can't work like that anymore.
Yeah, and I mean, I just can't imagine the strength it takes for you, obviously, whilst grieving as well, to campaign for stronger laws, for tougher bail laws particularly, which you still want to see improved.
Oh, exactly. I mean, Labor did, in my opinion, the minimum, and it was under protest they changed their laws. It was because of the pressure that the community was putting on them. So there's a lot of repeat offenders out there still. And some of these kids go out there, they're, you know, raising hell, so to speak. You know, they could be like, you could be at the shops and there'll be a group of them giving someone a hiding. And they just keep doing this sort of stuff, and they get put away for a couple of weeks, but then they're back out again. I mean, I know there's a couple of families down near the Goldie that have had, there's been about 3 or 4 kids that have been attacked. One young girl has lost partial vision in her eye, like she was going to be a state volleyball player. And this girl, her life has been turned around. Like, you know, she is fighting on, but you know, she's in fear, and that these people are in fear because like, when are these people going to come out? I mean, it's really hard. Well, for me, it would be hard as a parent not to enact and take things into your own hands, because this is desperate. You're fighting for your kids and you're fighting for your own safety, and they just need to be held accountable. And
it's for those reasons we need those laws to continue to be toughened up, and also too for victims like yourself to speak up, because we constantly, Cindy,
Exactly.
get feedback from our viewers as well and victims of crime saying that thank goodness that Cindy is there talking about this. We'll leave you there, but I'm going to bring in, thank you for joining us this morning, I'm going to bring in the Queensland Premier now, David Crisafulli, live in Rockhampton. And obviously we've got a lot to talk to this morning, Premier, but first off, hearing from Cindy there and knowing how significant reducing particularly youth crime in Queensland was as you were campaigning to be elected, do you feel like at this point you're going far enough when you hear Cindy talk?
She inspires me. I spoke with her last night. I spoke to her dad, Victor, this morning. They're two of the greatest Queenslanders you'll ever meet. And through their tragedy, they've driven change. Adult crime, adult time happened because of the work that they did. I can assure you every change we make will be to strengthen the youth justice system, and if further changes are needed, I've said it from day one, we'll continue to strengthen it. Equally, we're investing in early intervention for the first time in a long time and rehabilitation to try and turn kids around. Look, 10 years ago a decision was taken to weaken the laws. There's a generation that are there that believe that their rights outweigh the rights of the victim. Our mission is to make sure that we turn around that next cohort and make sure there are consequences for those who do continue to commit those kinds of crimes.
Hearing the mental anguish that Cindy and her family are feeling right now, and all victims of crime, and this is, we're talking about, you know, and Queensland, you're in charge of Queensland, but it's Melbourne, it's Sydney, it's Perth, it's all over the place. What sort of support can be offered more so than what we're seeing from a mental health perspective for victims?
Well, she hit the nail on the head. The issue around mental health challenges are real, and we absolutely have to invest in it. I'm standing in a city here in Rockhampton where we are going to build a step-up, step-down facility for mental health to help get people, either prevent them going into hospital or have a facility once they leave before they go back home. But we're investing in it across the board. But look, we have to deal with the issue as a society as a whole. There has to be everything from the support for people who are struggling, early intervention to turn kids around, those consequences for actions at the other end of the scale. It's across the board. And you're right, yep, we see these situations across the country, but I'm responsible for Queensland, and I can assure you that's what drives me. And we've seen the first reduction in victim numbers in the first 6 months of this year in a long, long time. But we're off a very, very high base, and I can assure you we've got a long way to go.